According to updated program, we are 3 speakers today. Before we were 4, but one of us canceled on presentation. And so it means that each speaker has 15 minutes for presentation and 5 minutes for discussion. Briefly, I would like to introduce you each speaker and their subject. First speaker is me. I'm from Uppsala University. I'm postdoc researcher. And my subject, the effects of women in decision-making process in urban planning case of Ulleråker. And second speaker is a former member of Malmö University as a guest professor. The subject, guest? Researcher, sorry. The subject is the fear and gender in public space, artistic practices and proaction. And a third speaker is from University of Karlshamn, practitioner. And the subject, they grow self-esteem and security in the Million program. So I'm going to use a timer to be in line of time limitation for each speaker. And I'm going to warn each speaker in last 5 minutes. And my subject is the effects of women in decision-making process in urban planning, case of Ulleråker. Actually, I'm not working on gender studies. I'm a political scientist. But this subject is kind of part of my postdoc project, which is about effective public participation in urban planning, in decision-making process in urban planning, based on Ulleråker case. But it's still ongoing project. While doing interviews, I have realized that mostly women accepted my interview request. So even though they were not active in dialogue process about this project. So today I'm going to try to illustrate women's side of my project. The subject of this research is local participation of women and their effects on local decision-making process in urban planning regarding to Ulleråker case. Research questions, how do women involve in decision-making process? Decision-making process in urban planning. How do they evaluate participation process and what's their impact in urban planning? I have preferred to use a qualitative method, and in accordance with that, I made interview with local politicians, experts, and local citizens, and using semi-structured face-to-face interviews. In totally, 40 people I made interview with, and 33 women and 7 men. That's why today I'm here. And 15 participants from Uppsala municipality and 25 participants from local citizens. And these 15 participants from Uppsala municipality, including local politicians, experts who worked on Ulleråker project, such as architects, city planners, and engineers, etc. And 25 participants, including local citizens who currently live in Ulleråker. So all participants had been at least one consultation meeting. Excuse me. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. All participants had been at least one consultation meeting. Majority of participants were high educated and middle-aged. Ulleråker case. Ulleråker is a south part of Uppsala city, and currently 1,800 residents live in, and it's also 2 kilometers away from Uppsala center. Uppsala city is the 4th biggest city in Sweden, and which is growing fast. And the first map of Ulleråker. The second one, I don't know how it works. Yeah. The second one is the plan has been done by municipality, including 7,000 new buildings in Ulleråker, and with up to 14-story high buildings. With this project, 15,000 people will be additional residents in that area. So, this project has been started in 2015, and the municipal level is over right now. The dialogue process has been done between 2015 and 2017. And Uppsala municipality has made 6 meetings with local citizens. And with this project, Ulleråker's future will be exactly like that by 2030. Briefly, results of interviews. In this section, I'm going to try to share with you some results, some interviews results I got from interviews. And I'm going to try to translate my results directly from interviews. And focusing on how women evaluated the Ulleråker project and consulting process, and what was their effect during planning. Women I made interview with were anxious about part of this project, including cutting down unique trees and being dense with 7,000 new buildings, and traffic problem will be followed with that project. But some of them were both little anxious and also happy with will be provided new services such as markets, restaurants, schools. Some of them think that in urban planning, women should be more active and should create the way of providing women's participation more actively, because women are using neighborhood like their home. So they might know more things on where should be playground or kindergarten or school. Some of them claim that mostly in dialogue process, men who were old, wealthy, and educated were so dominant compared to women by talking so much, asking so much, shouting, yelling, etc. Women, mostly upper middle age, were generally participated as dialogue meetings. More youngers were not able to follow all meetings because of their job and other household stuff they have to do. Some of them blamed themselves like not to be more active during that kind of process. Some others admitted that there were not encouraging participation tools for women. According to them, women were in the position of being mostly listener. And the dialogue process being conducted by Uppsala municipality was managed a little unprofessional, because there was overcrowded, so everybody could not have asked their questions effectively, and mostly men were able to talk. Women mostly preferred to use another way to get connection with Uppsala municipality, such as sending email, or arranging petitions, or through Facebook. But important thing is being in directly dialogue process, because mostly changes are made over plan by municipality according to conducted dialogue process and dialogue meetings with local citizens. Conclusion, the process of consultation being conducted by Uppsala municipality should be improved because at the present it seems not comprehensive enough, not just for women, for immigrants, for other disadvantaged groups. Women mostly have preferred to use indirect way of communication instead speaking in public meetings. I think there are varied reasons of this result. As first, women are not used to speak in public. Secondly, they avoid to be noticeable in the place where men are dominant. Thirdly, they can barely follow dialogue meetings due to lack of time and having another staff. And lastly, there is not effective participation tools for women. I think if dialogue process be more professional, providing openness for women and other disadvantaged groups' ideas, would be more effective and participatory. If the discussion or dialogue schedule could be adjusted considering women, such as not being late time, and created comfortable environment for women's speech, would be much more effective and nice. So, information, this actually participation stairs made by SKL, Swedish Regional and Local Authorities Agency in Stockholm. So when we follow the stairs, information is acceptable, consultation may be acceptable, but dialogue, influence, and co-decision is so blurred right now in dialogue process. So that's all. Do you have any question? Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about kind of where and when meetings have taken place? And is this kind of typical of public processes, like in planning communities? I know that, like in the United States context, there has been many critiques of kind of government being like, you need to come to this particular place at this particular time, mostly in the evenings, and trying to figure out how to kind of better meet people. So I wonder if this is, if your process kind of time and place is very similar to that. I wonder if is anyone happy with the way that it's done? Are women particularly unhappy, or is everyone kind of unhappy with how this public process is happening?
Yeah, mostly anyone.
So are the meetings like, are they all at nights, like at a municipal government or something like that?
Yes. Yes. Actually, there are some legal provisions about public participation, and there are quite strong ambitions about that in Sweden right now. But still, it should be improved for both sides.
How many women percentage are elected in Sweden? Because I think it's one of the countries in the world that has more women participating in governance than many other countries. So what is the percentage of men versus women in local governments as well as the central government?
Percentage? I don't know. Yeah.
I work at the Swedish municipality. And it's like Is it on?
Maybe the other one.
Yes, I work at the Swedish municipality, and it's exactly as you said, there are many women working both at the government and at the municipality. So we are like 60% women and 40% men, and women also at leading positions. Elected politician at where I work, there are a lot of women, but there is no such situation in every municipality, unfortunately, in decision making. But working, and there are many women.
What do you mean?
Their experience safety. If they feel that by participating more, they feel more safe in the area afterwards, or do you see a correlation there? Do you think maybe it's not part of your study?
Yeah, actually, I'm mostly working on democracy side of this project, but just I would like to share these results with you. Maybe somebody can be interested. And but mostly, yeah, women accepted my interview request, and they explained that they don't feel themselves so relaxed in that kind of dialogue meetings to speak, because men are so dominant in that kind of process, especially old and rich men. Yes?
Yes. Can I propose a practical solution? I'm working in municipalities, and what we have done, we bought a caravan that we go and park it beside the train station or something. And we announce it in advance to the people by letter that at this time of the day we are here for informing about the new programs. So then people are coming and speaking with us individually. And there were lots of women coming and talking with us because they were just by themselves with us.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I think it's also the responsibility of the person who leads the dialogue that giving the power to, I wouldn't say only men, but giving the power to those that would like to be dominant.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm questioning about who is leading the dialogue. How powerful is that?
Yeah, actually, as far as I see, there are some problems about the process, dialogue process, because imagine that versus more than 100 people, like full of salon, and just there were a few experts and local politicians in that process. So imagine that that's a kind of a dialogue meeting. So mostly men or just a few people can ask their questions, I think, because it's so crowded and there is no enough time to listen to everybody. The process, I think, is kind of the problem with that. Yeah, maybe they can arrange some small groups. I mean, workshop groups like that to listen to everybody effectively would be nice, I think. Yeah. Anyone? Okay, thank you. And now the second speaker, Veronica Wiman, will present her subject about fear and gender in public space, artistic practices and proaction.
Thank you. So we're just swapping computer. And my presentation today describes an ongoing and long-term interdisciplinary art project that I've been developing since 2003, called Fear and Gender in Public Space. And I would like to begin with showing a short promo version of an artwork and film made by Gerhard Marx from South Africa, which is entitled "And There in the Dust," which I found during this journey. So I'll just begin there, and then I will continue.
Nothing ever happens here. Nothing. Next. Maybe it's the heat, or maybe it's the dust, but nothing ever happens. It all started the day Dival was untangling fishing line in the field opposite the old church. Suddenly, he came upon a small, crumpled figure. And there in the dust, an arm, some fingers, hands, a small, little, crumpled face, a tiny pot belly, fat, little thighs, and in between her thighs lay a mess like a cauliflower, red, bloody.
So,
Nothing.
I should say that the full length of this artwork and film is about 8-9 minutes. So I felt that I couldn't really show it the full today. It's also a finding or part of the archive of artworks that I collected during this project. So I'm going to change to my slideshow. Yeah, so this presentation that I'm doing here today in this conference, I chose to put myself in a vulnerable position, meaning that I am presenting a body of work that I haven't really talked about, or that is really a work in progress, and that is not analyzed, and I have not put it into a theoretical framework at all. It's a collection of data and material that I have been of work that I've been conducting for many years. So, but it's a description of the process and realization of the project taking place between 2003 and 2011, without the theoretical framework and without the analysis. So far, it has been realized through public interventions, performances, exhibitions, writing, and building an archive of artwork on the subject of rape. It's a work in progress, and this presentation is also part of the journey. Today, the collected data and material is in the process of analysis and writing, where I'm writing the book, Fear and Gender in Public Space, about this project. It's an interdisciplinary art project where artistic work has been the method and means. It has been conducted through an artistic and curatorial practice, but also an activist and a pedagogical and academic practice in collaboration with the universities and art faculties and art academies especially. Today, my profession and practice lies within urban studies and research interest at the intersection of gender, public safety, embodied memory, and archiving and urban planning. My practice in urban planning focuses on feminist strategies and women's safety through architecture, community building, and contemporary art practices as a method for inclusion and democracy. In Fear and Gender in Public Space, the aim has been to build collaborations between stakeholders such as activists, women's organizations, rape crisis centers, the police and city planning departments in order to collectively explore how artistic practices could work proactive, create awareness, and mobilize a discourse around fear of rape and sexual violence in public space. Worldwide, and from various contexts of rape and sexual violence, how can an interdisciplinary artistic practice contribute to women and children's right to the city, to find tools to prevent crime, build safety, but also to try to understand the subject of rape? The project began by and developed through questions to enter different locations around the world in dialogue with communities. Why fear? And where is fear? To find questions about a local understanding of rape. And what work is done locally to prevent crimes and help victims? And how can art and artists be part of that? So what I wished for coming here also with this material was to open up for discussion how to develop the project further. And just a sentence. It really began from me as a woman living in Stockholm at the time, and the anger and the frustration about the fear that I felt. So that I share with you all women, I guess. And I started to write an article in collaboration with an artist collective called Raketa in a book exploring public space. And then it sort of just, the journey began. And from an article to a work around public space through artistic practice in Istanbul, and then really opening the Fear and Gender project in Helsinki, and then it went to Johannesburg, Bangalore, Umeå, San Francisco, Stockholm, and Cali in Colombia, and also part of a women's world conference in Seoul in Korea. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, so what you see is an image of the first action that I did in Helsinki, where I performed myself with my body. With the Camera Valvonta, like exploring there from a locus perspective, and a discussion that was very much ongoing at the time with the surveillance cameras in the city and the politics around that. So I engaged different artists to work on that with me. And I had the chance to, during 1 year, to work with a master's class at the Art Academy in Kuva in Helsinki, where during a year we chose the site Kaisaniemi Park, which is the city park of Helsinki, where the statistic was 1 rape per year or something like that, but still being the park where women wouldn't go by night because of due to fear, etc. So we were exploring the subject of rape there very much physically, but in dialogue then with local collaborations, police, urban department, etc. So I will run through this project now with some images and just show you very descriptive sort of where it landed and what we did. Yeah, an artist chose to work with maps and questionnaires, forms, engaging with the public that would come to the park and use it. Johannesburg, within a curatorial work in the National Gallery of Art for a year, we were working in Joubert Park in this larger project called Urban Concerns. And at the same time, I was working at Wits Watersrand University, and a privileged group of students there that had never been to Joubert Park before. And so I chose that as a location, and we were also there over a semester of time to sort of understand what is this place, who is moving around here, and the subject of rape in relation to fear and women. So there, what these students with the groups that I was working with, they developed an awareness. So it was structured in 3 steps: creating an awareness and then creating a response to the location. The same, or not the same, but a variation in San Francisco, where I was working with students, art students again at USF, and we developed a campaign which was going to take part of the March Against Rape. And here, students. This is Umeå, another response in a project that I did that was called the Gendered City, for a day inviting the urban city, the city department, urban development department, and others. Cali, Colombia. I landed there in 2007 with the project. I came there for 3 weeks, and I wanted to use myself and different methods, and connected the planning department, activist groups, women organizations, exploring a place, an area in the city, and trying to use maps where women and men would feel differently in regards to fear. An area was, so this is taking place in an art institute, I should say. So it always connected to some sort of art institution. So during that time in 2007, a location was, can you see? Yeah. A location here was identified as being the place where women would feel quite a lot of fear. Half a year later, I had funding and came back and responded to that research together in collaboration with an crafts artist and jewelry artist, Sissi Westerberg, where we, during 3 weeks, inhabited that square and that area where my previous research had given me the data that, okay, this is a place where women feel fear. And using design, craft, inviting local crafts artists, in particular jewelry artists, to program these 3 weeks together with us, and always being at site. So we were doing radio and all different kinds of things that for me would be within the interdisciplinary art and craft. This was done in collaboration with the Association Women Head of Families. And this is what it could look like. I'm now running through a little bit. That led me to the eco-village for women, Nashira, about half an hour outside of Cali, Colombia, close to the airport. Again, and then I was invited to build a children's playground and the social meeting point. And through participatory exercises or tools, we, together with the women and the children, were developing this site. And this is what it could look like. So this is in 2008. Yeah, I'm running through it, but just to give you a view. And that to end, another intervention in fear and gender in public space in Cali was, I was invited for a performance festival, inviting children at a school to participate and collaborate with us, and creating a 10-meter long carpet of a bamboo material that we would unfold over and back and forth over the most a very busy traffic road, and then inviting also these restaurant. I'm losing my language. What, pardon? No, to serve us juice. So the children we would lay out this carpet, and the children would walk over. And before that, we had made also a workshop where there was doing masks. So the action was celebrating walking. So that happened and was going on for two hours. I know that I'm running out of time now. Should I quit? Can I? Yeah. I just want to show you the site, and then you can look at it. I have. So in Bangalore, at the Shrishti Design and Art Faculty, we collaborated with an artist, Sinat Hassan. So she was at site and working and also inviting artists locally to explore and develop that within the framework Fear and Gender in Public Space in Bangalore. And then also at Konstfack, which are also an extensive body of work that exists on this blog site. But this is all the material that I have. And I'm now collecting all this material and putting it into a framework and finding how to contextualize and how to present that. And that is still in process. So I will end there. Any questions?
Yeah. Third speaker is from University of Karlshamn. She's a practitioner.
Microphone, please. Sorry.
Her subject is They Grow Self-Esteem and Security in the Million Program by Amina
Kovacic.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you. My name is Amina Kovacic, and I'm actually I'm not working at the university. Sometimes I'm a mentor at the Blekinge Institute of Technology for spatial planning students. So that's my connection to this subject. But I'm a head of urban planning, and I've been working as a city architect for 11 years. And I'm going to talk about a specific project that we did in the municipality of Karlshamn. And as I know that there are many people not coming from Sweden, I thought maybe it could be nice to know where the Karlshamn is. And it is southeast part of Sweden. It is a coast. It lies by the coast, and it has approximately 32,000 inhabitants, and a grid city, very compact and dense, with 20,000 inhabitants. It is also a city with a lot of cultural heritage, and actually we don't have any issues of security, but as you all know, many times there is a perceived insecurities we're talking about, and that's what I'm going to talk about you. This is some snapshots. These are some snapshots from Karlshamn. And here is this grid city that I'm talking about. And the area that we did a project in lies up here. So it's quite near the center of the city. And it is a so-called Million Program. And for you who don't come from Sweden, a Million Program was something initiated by the Swedish government. Between 1965 and 1975, we built like 1 million dwellings. And it was a very, very huge project, as we are about 8 million at all at that time. So it was a very, very large project. And the Fridhem is such a project. And places where we today talk about insecurities and safety issues are often these areas, especially in the big cities, Malmö, Stockholm, and Gothenburg. So exactly the same situation is in Karlshamn. And Fridhem is, as I told you, built between 1965 and 1968. It's 375 flats, and there are 1,000 inhabitants, and 25 different nations represented. A lot of people come from other countries. And there are approximately 100 students living there. what is important to say is also that there are rental apartments and there is municipal housing company, and that is important because in Sweden, municipal housing company, they have a social, they have a very large social impact, and they are not just rental firms, they are also working for the whole society in a way. There is a nearby preschool in the area, and also there is a large hospital. So there is a very nice place to live, actually. So one can wonder why do they feel as they have problems. But of course there is a high unemployment rate, and there is a lot of language barriers, as many people living there came to Sweden as refugees. And most of them came last 2 years from Syria, Afghanistan, and that part of the world. So many people they don't feel well. They have a problem with the language, and as you don't have if you don't have a job and you don't have a possibility to educate yourself because you haven't come that far, it's very difficult to find something to do. And that's also the biggest problem is sense of seclusion, and that's what that's why we started this project. As you can see here, this is the area. So they are like 3-story houses, so it's not a large area. But in the Karlshamn, the high-rise, it's like 8 floors in our scale, so it's not that large city. It looks like this. So these million program areas are often characterized by very large in-between spaces where nothing happens. It's like, as you can see here, these pictures are quite boring because I took them this summer and it was very, very hot. You can see the grass is not green, it's yellow. It was extremely hot summer this year. So this is that part that we have the project, and here is something that we start with like 15 years ago. This is an artwork that was part of the Swedish National Art Council, developed during the 90s as a project called Untitled Chapter, as an attempt to make people feel more feel as they own the place. So this artist called Astrid Göransson did a great job, first interviewing many of people living there in Fridhem, and then choosing one of them as a figurehead. So he became an art, a piece of art. So this process took half a year or something, and the people were very, very engaged. So as we mentioned before, in Sweden we are very, very keen on doing civil dialogue, and this was one of the first civil dialogues that we made with this artwork that made people proud of the place they live in, because it's a lot of problems, I think, is because you don't feel proud because someone else is talking to you that Fridhem is bad, there is a lot of crime and things like that. There are a lot of prejudice when we talk about areas such as this one. So Fridhem was marked by social unrest. Newly arrived women and children, they were not living their flats, and Cabo is Karlshamns Bostäder, it's our housing company. They wanted to do something about that. And they wanted to involve people living in the area, but mostly women and children, because as we all know, if women and children feel safe, everyone feels safe. So we try to concentrate us on just women and children. There was some vandalization and littering during one period on a weekly basis, mostly, and lack of pride and sense of belonging, as I told you before, and small-scale crime incidents. Teenagers, a lot of them, if your parents don't work and you yourself don't have anything to do, then you going around doing bad stuff. And that's mostly what they were doing, vandalizing and littering across the area. Our local papers blow up. Every time something happens in Fridhem, it has like some whole coverage. If something positive happens, it's often not described at all. But this was just one criminal act. One pizzeria was burned down. And I think they wrote about that for almost a month. Every second day was something in the media. And of course, it stigmatized the area, and it makes people feel bad about the place they live in. And that's something we wanted to change. The purpose of the project was to break these patterns of loneliness and isolation for women and children, to create a meeting points that they came out of their flats and get to know each other. To connect people across these cultural and age boundaries, because there are a lot of Swedish women also living in this area, so it's quite mixed. But they never came to know each other because they didn't have any meeting points. And then we wanted to raise awareness of locally grown food. And one of my colleagues, she's a manager for all kitchens at our municipality. She and I and one of the managers at Cabo, our housing company, we decided to make a project out of it. When we didn't have any funds, no economy, nothing, we just thought maybe we can try in a small scale and then do something bigger. And sorry, okay. We wanted to also learn these women how to use these semi-private areas. So this is our landscape architect Anna. She just made a fast sketch on how we can change the areas in between the houses, and they started to grow vegetables and the berries, and the preschool nearby, they have their own place here, where they come every day with a teacher, and then they have a chance to meet these women and talk to them, learn them new Swedish words, and just to get to know each other. We also started many different study groups, learn people how to vote, how to grow vegetables, how to apply for a job. Very simple things one may think, but it was very, very large interest in this. So we had a lot of tenants coming to these courses. Several studies groups on various subjects, one for women and children, one for parents. How to ride a bike was very popular because there are many women who didn't know how to ride a bike, and it's quite liberating feeling when you learn how to ride a bike. Quite simple thing, but it meant a lot. And we also created and supported a football team, and that was for these teenagers that didn't know what to do during the days. And they are now rised up to the 4th level, so they become quite good. So it has been very good for the self-esteem of the people living there, but also gave us something back. These are some articles. There have been some positive coverage now from these projects, and this is where these women were learning how to ride a bike. A lot of laugh, a lot of fun, actually. And this is the woman this responsible for all of that. She is a manager for this housing company, and she works as a manager for social issues. And that's quite new in Sweden, as I know anyway, that you have a manager just working with a housing company with the social issues. So her job is to all the time create new projects that will bring out people out of the flats, but also learn them about the Swedish society. And these are these children from the preschool. that also love this place. They come there almost every day. And as I told you before, there have been some very positive coverage, and that means a lot. It can change your way to see your own place to live, if you see that other people actually appreciate it as well. So this is how it looks by night, and it has been very popular. Some people were afraid that it would be vandalized and destroyed, but it has been 8 months, and no one didn't do anything, and no one takes someone else's vegetables either. So they leave the place untouched. So I think despite lack of funding and indifference and unconcern among tenants that we experienced in the beginning, it has been a success. And I think mostly because a housing company acting with social responsibility, they don't see themselves just earning money for the flats. They want to change the lives of people living there. And I think that's the crucial thing in our project. Understanding and appreciation instead of prejudice and disbelief was also very important, because as a new in a country, you feel rootless. You have to create a new connection to the place that you came to. And that's what we did with this project. And to see a tenant as an asset and not as a burden. Our housing company has a policy that they have several of their employees are coming from the area. So they feel as they belong to the place, and then they care a lot about everything that's happening there. Enlightening employees also about the challenges and strengths working in a multi-ethnic residential area, because there is no working in the other areas. So they have lots of programs and enlightenings in many different areas, like they were all being HBTQ certificated. The housing company did a lot of courses on everything: human rights, equality, anti-discrimination, foster and promote inclusive environments. So they were really working very strategically with these issues. And they, as I told you before, created various studies groups for parenting, for seniors, and the Boskola. It's also very popular. It's kind of way to introduce people in Sweden and living in Sweden and freedom, but not with pointing finger at them, but just by being nice and told them that's how we do stuff here. And I think that was all. Thank you.
Do you have any questions to speakers?
Yes. Thank you for the presentations, both of you. I want to focus on what you have been doing there. I'm thinking urban gardening is a great way of bringing people together and creating a common culture.
Yes.
But I'm also thinking that it's Sweden we are doing this in, and the climate is not helping so much, or it's quite limited in terms of when it can do
Weather,
this.
yes.
So I'm wondering, are you thinking of a continuation of this project, or how, like what other alternative take now that the winter is?
Yeah, we have moved, and we have these study groups that their tenants themselves can choose the subject, and then we can arrange a course, and we are inside, of course, during the winter. But this project has already already started similar ones in different areas that have similar problems. And the fun thing is it really brings people together, because people also grow vegetables in very different ways in different parts of the world, and that's something that we didn't know about. that you could grow it. So it was a very nice experience. So also to learn, we learn a lot about different cultures, and I think we all grow as a people, not just people living there. Thank you.
Also, congratulations. I think it is wonderful. The model which you see diverse communities, not as the other. So I have two quick questions. One is if you saw leadership emerging from the tenants after all this, so it is something that progressively would become, bottom up.
Yes.
That was one question. And second, have you noticed a drop in crime?
We noticed
Have you noticed a drop in
time?
crime?
No. We didn't actually. I don't know. It started from the bottom up, as you told us before. But it started with the problems because housing company was trying to get rid of this old littering in the area and everything. And then there was some kind of social. The girl I showed you before, Cecilia, she was very, very involved in all social parts of her job. So she was like, I have to do something. So she became a manager during this project. They didn't have any department for social responsibility, so to say. So she was she created it. And that's what I think everyone can do, actually. It's like a commitment and believing in something and showing out to people that you care. And I have a picture. Something that was very important was this woman here, because she has a half-time job in the area. She lives in the area. She knows people living there, and she is tough. She's not like, you have to do that, and so she's not. She knows how to take people because she comes from the same country, and they have respect for her. And Cecilia, when she found her, it was like bingo. So after that, everything came as positive. So, and what I think it's nice, it's like women for women project, because we are like 4 women, and these women really, they were afraid. There was nothing to be afraid of. But if you come from a country that with a war in your baggage, and you it doesn't matter which country you come from, you have your luggage with you. And it's very important to feel welcome. And I think that's what we managed to create here. I hope so. Anyway. Thank you.
Yes? During the 2 days, we've been focusing very much on feminine issues and making women more visible in the physical realm, moving around it. I'm wondering, like that's you or as an artist, are we also talking to men? Because I think, and as I experience when I work with other feminists and I work with the implementation of Opus One for research, we're doing this in the real world, we're working in ghettos in Denmark, and we see that we have to address the issues that especially young men are struggling with, and making them also part of being responsible for places where they live.
Yes.
We
have this football team. I didn't have any pictures of that, but it started as like kids with a problem, and they didn't have somewhere to go. They were like destroying in the neighborhood. Another guy living in the area, but very positive and he wanted to make a change. He started this football team that has been a success now. So now we have this football team at 3 places. It's called Karlshamn United, and there are people with many other different nationalities in there, and they were climbing up. It was like football team with no actual football interest to begin with, but now they're actually getting better and better, and so it has been a success for the youngsters. When it comes to middle-aged men, they were already in these places. They were the only ones using this in between places before, so we didn't see that as a problem. We saw the problem that the women, they were not there. So, thank you.
Just shortly, if you want an answer. It was very much, we started in a public space, and beginning with the people that were there and that were, living there. So it was never, it was the fear and gender. So it was understanding each other's. I mean, being of color, being white, so it was not also related then to gender, of course. So it was not targeted towards women in that way.
Anyone else? Then thank you for coming.
Thank you.